reality, but that's a whole other thing as well. The story this morning with stock futures, NASDAQ futures are up by like 2%, meaning that the NASDAQ is going to open higher by about 2%-ish, something like that. Could change. Trading doesn't start for about 45 minutes, but NVIDIA, one company, okay, has the power to move the NASDAQ. It's incredible how much weight one company can have with regard to the overall market. So overnight, NVIDIA was bid up by like 27%, and that is giving, like I said, the NASDAQ a boost here. You got S&P futures slightly higher, Dow futures slightly lower this morning. Cryptocurrencies under a little pressure. Gold and silver under a little pressure.
Hey, Robert.
Crude oil under a little pressure. Now,
let me turn this off.
Yield, I know you're watching the 10-year yield.
Let me just turn that off. Apparently there's a space call going on. Still holding. Good evening. Great effort. Glad I'm back. I used to say that. Glad to see you're back. Hey, Daphne, GN, Eddie Eagle. So, let me see what this space call's all about. I don't know if I want to go on a space call. The drama, but I just got invited, and Anna's great. Ben Palmer, they paid someone to shut me up? Not me, they didn't pay. But you mean someone to, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Well, let's see. Well, I just heard something positive on Vocal. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think any whales are going to buy that stock. Thank you, Kamal. Hi, grandson. You know, Kamal, if you live long enough, it'll happen to you. All of a sudden, you'll wake up one morning and you'll go, what happened? I used to be young, and now I'm still the same in here, but out. Anyway, it'll happen to you, Kamal. But I hope it takes a long, long time. I hope you enjoy all those wonderful aspects of a thoroughly young body as long as you can. Well, David, sorry, it's hard to see the name exactly. Maybe if I move this, maybe that'll help. I think the targets, they use computers and charts too, all the bad guys. Hey, Barry, Diego. Let me just see what's going on with this, I don't know anything about BYQ, Bing. Bing. The thing that's been running through my head for the last couple of weeks is, why does the over-the-counter market need high-frequency trading? Why does it need reg show? Why does it need all of these exemptions that are set up for these huge institutional traders when institutions don't even buy these shares? Hey, Vanden Plays. That's a pretty good name. Good afternoon, Nons. As you know, TD mixed the dividend up with the common. That's right, Ben, but I saw in the Webull. I don't know. Let me see who's here on this call. How many people? Let me just show a favor. Hey, okay, let me show a favor to Anna because she invited me. And not that I'm any great shakes, but we'll play it out loud and see what happens. I won't stay on it very long.
You could just share that tweet you put out and what the call to
So
action
we're
was
listening.
and how we need to go about that.
And we'll be in the listening mode.
Thank you. Okay. And Junk is instrumental in this as well.
Yeah,
we're kind of
he's coming back to DC.
It's important to make sure there's accountability for people. I mean, not just
If this is all
financially, but we need to make sure that these bad actors.
This is who's speaking. This is Syntax, but now it faded away, so I don't know. There she is.
You can go to the DOJ.
That's Syntax.
And the IC3.gov.
What happened to my video, Mark?
Is where you can go online and you can file your complaints. You can file multiple complaints.
It should be there. I
They
didn't
don't
take it
have to
down
be
or
just
anything.
on one subject.
Maybe
They only give you
I
limited
screwed up
characters
somehow.
that you can actually fill in.
Or are you
can do
talking
one
about
on
why I
FINRA,
was
which
so
suggest
out of
everyone,
it?
If they feel they have
Maybe
a
they
need
took
to
it
do
down
even-
because
I
I
don't wanna,
played like
get in trouble
5
for being like,
YouTube
hey, do
videos.
this.
Yeah,
If it
maybe they
works for
took
you,
it
if you
down. Let
feel
me
that
look.
You are a victim of fraudulent activity in regards to FINRA, in regards to your broker, in regards to the SEC, in regards to James Angel, you know, whatever it might be.
Let me look, Mark. It might be that they took it down. Maybe I played too many YouTube
Of more
videos.
interest to them, and we know that they're working this situation. So really, what it does is it validates the need to like have.
I don't know. I'm copyright claim. My video has been blocked.
In the nest if it's not
In
there.
some countries,
That
it's
calls to
blocked in
action,
some
and that's,
countries.
you know, filling out those reports. So,
So
we
I
can
don't know
have
which
accountability.
countries it was blocked in.
Yeah, I put our tweets up in the nest. Yep, they're there. I knew you would. You're on fire.
All right, I might not listen too much longer to this.
Thank you, Syntax.
Last thing I need is
personally thank you for everything that you do.
is instructions
It's
on
amazing,
what to
and I
do.
just wanted to make
Oh,
sure
you're in the U.S. Oh
you hear it
well.
from me. So thank you again for everything.
So I guess I
you
got to
do and
learn
have been
not to
doing
play
and
all
continue
those
to do.
video
So,
songs.
Thank you.
Aw, thank you so much. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right, so Syntax left. Junk Savvy is
Anyone
there.
else want to come up and grab a mic? Don't be shy. We're all here for you. So
Scotty,
come on up, grab a mic, say
Scotty
something.
is co-hosting.
Junk, I just want to let you know too. I love listening to your spaces in the morning. I wake up and I'm listening to one already because it never shuts off at night. But switching over to yours just in the Savvy Market Minute.
Busy Brands is
enjoyable.
here.
I love listening to it and educational at the same point. So just
Busy
wanted to say
Brands
that.
is
Thank you.
here. Who else is here? I guess they don't see that I joined in, but whatever.
Looks like Howya. Howya, come on up.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good.
I've been applying continued pressure on my local congressman, and I never.
Let me
got in
see
touch with
this,
him still, but I've been really giving it to his staff members, and they directed me to that.
Who is
file a
this? This
complaint
is
about your,
Blobbity
local
blah.
government,
You're new
about
to
your,
the station, I guess.
government
Does
office or
GTII have a
whatever.
legal
And
responsibility to
because I've been
update
on 'em
us
so
on
much, they're
1-800
really
law in a timely
pulling
manner?
my,
I suppose.
report out, and they say they're going to do something.
Let me just turn this off.
Just because I keep continuously applying pressure to the aides.
Let me just turn this off. Yeah, they have a obligation to update you if something material has happened in a timely manner. But blah dee dee blah. I indicated to you that I think, or I don't know if you were listening last night, or the other times. I've said it now for a few times. I think the 1-800 law firm deal is not going to happen. I personally do not believe the 1-800 law firm deal is going to happen. The company, I don't have direct access to the company or anything, so we'll find out if I'm right. But blah-de-de-blah. There's only three things that could have happened. May 15th came and went. May 15th was the ending date of the extension. So there's only three things that could have happened. They didn't get the deal done. They did get the deal done, or they extended it again. I personally think if they extended it, they have to notify you. But is it in a week or 2 weeks? Who knows? I think if they got it done, they have to notify you. Is it in a week or 2 weeks? I don't know. But if the deal did not get done, I'm not a lawyer, but it was explicit in the last press release that the extension was until May 15th. And it was clear that if it didn't happen by then, the deal was off. So I'm not sure if they have an obligation to notify you then. But we're now in, today's the 25th, so we're 10 days later from the 15th, or 9 days, I guess. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we would have heard something, and I just don't think it's going to happen. So that's how blah-de-blah, that's how I see it. Well, that's interesting. The market should be running now. Why did they settle the... Let me look at the news. Did they settle the debt? I have my own view on that. Let me just see if they got it done. I don't see that the deal got done. Hey, AC. AC feeling great about GTII. Well, I don't elegantly wasted. The market should be running and taking off right now. It's interesting. Yeah, I think they copyrighted my stream last night. I was too tired. I was enjoying listening to the music, but I think 5 or 6 videos maybe was too much. Ham is going back down, and I'll be there with him. I answered blah-de-de, blah-da-blah. Back in the USSR, boy. Back in the USSR. All right, Pete Tong. I called iTrade, I guess you mean E-Trade, today and asked my next bridge went to AST. They said I see them on my iTrade account. The answer is no. Can't be in both places. Does that sound right? Well, it used to be you could have it. Let me think that through. Pete, I'm going to say I don't think it can be in both places at the same time. Because if they have it in your name at the transfer agent, it's not in your account at E-Trade. You like the flowers, honey? See, somebody said it makes it look like a funeral. I really wish I could join you, gentlemen. Yeah, come on down. Oh, iTrade is in Canada. See, it's clever. iTrade instead of E-Trade. Very clever. I trade, you trade. We all trade for iTrade. Hey, MKC. Suddenly I'm starting to feel a bit peckish. I know there's a lot of birds now in DC, and what a blessing. I wonder why. Maybe there's so much more food waste they thrive. I don't know. Elegantly wasted. They got MULN down to 70 cents, drove it back to 98 cents. They'll get it back down again, in my opinion. Yeah, Ken, it's just the problem is, oh, Chris, you got it? The Rainy Night in Georgia? That's off an album called, I think it's called Red, Hot, and Blue. That's so long ago. But I think it's Red, Hot, and Blue. And it has these duets that are amazing. That's one of my favorite. Conway Twitty. But they also had duets with the guy from New Orleans. Anyway, I think it's called Red, Hot, and Blue. It's a great song, and Red Hot Chili Peppers. Let me see if that is the album, because they have a lot of good songs on there. You know, an album is a collection of songs with a similar theme. Oh no, that wasn't it. That's a good album, though. That's a good album. This was country. It was made on the same thought process. That's a good album, but it's not the one that had that song. Let me see if it's called Country. Yeah, Red Hot and Country, maybe. Nope, that's not it. Jimmy Webb is great. You have various artists. Let me look at that. No, that's not it. Let me see. Hi, Chris. I'm the brain doesn't happen so much. All right, it comes on a CD called Well, that was it doesn't say which album they did it on, and I owned the album. I own it still. I don't use it anymore. Rhythm Country and Blues. Rhythm Country and Blues. All right, so let me look that up. Rhythm Country and Blues. That album. Yeah, there it is. So the songs there, they've got Rainy Night in Georgia, which is Conway Twitty and Sam Moore. It's great. But here's one. They have Patches with B.B. King and George Jones. Patches is great on that album. And then they did, this is a great song, Chris. I'll tell you this one too. When Something Is Wrong with My Baby. It's Travis Tritt and Patti LaBelle. Magnificent. And then Something Else with Tanya Tucker and Little Richard. Perfection. And then they got Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing with Gladys Knight and Vince Gill. And Trisha Yearwood does an amazing version of I Fall to Pieces. Amazing. And to cap it all off, you have Al Green and Lyle Levitt or Leave It singing Funny How Time Slips Away. So the album, Chris, is called Rhythm, Country, and Blues. We do get the HNRC dividend, I think, tomorrow. Yep, Rhythm, Country, and Blues, yep. Who's this, Chris? That's it, Chris. Yeah, I think we get the dividend tomorrow. So, Barry, you think MULN's going to go? Well, I hope so. The one thing, Barry, if we could learn from GTII and some of these other stocks, I think one of my blind spots in GTII, Finger, and a couple of them is by having an edge, by knowing what's going on, I believe, like him, that it's life-changing potential. But in these stocks that I don't know anything about, I would treat it differently. I would, like you buy MULN. It's up. Take some money off the table. And then when it pulls back, you can buy in again. You don't have to be addicted to love. All right, so Lion says the chart looks great. Don't listen to me. Old dogs, children, and watermelon wine. What's the news on HNRC? Yeah, somebody sent it to me. Let me look it up. Oh, it's StockTwits. And I guess I don't have StockTwits, so let me look it up here. It's at 14 cents. 14.50. And it confirms the distribution of the dividend. So good on you. You've found it. So today, May 25, Houston Natural Resources confirmed the spinoff of Worldwide Diversified Holdings will become effective after the close of business on May 26, 2023. So my memory was good. This will combine the company's legacy businesses in software, telecommunications, and consulting into one business called Worldwide Diversified Holdings to be launched as an independent, publicly traded company, and thereby HNRC will focus on energy. This will best position each of the company's businesses to realize their full potential, deliver long-term growth, and create an opportunity for the shorts to short it into oblivion. Just kidding. I actually don't think that's going to happen because I believe it's restricted. The distribution to HNRC shareholders of 1 share of WDHI common stock for every 2 shares of HNRC is to become effective after the close of business May 26. The spinoff will provide current shareholders with ownership interests in HNRC. And later WDHI upon consummation of the spinoff transaction. The distribution is intended to be tax-free. It doesn't say anything about the record date. I hope they didn't change the record date till now, but it doesn't say anything about the record date. It says the spinoff will provide current HNRC shareholders. It doesn't say anything about the record date, which is weird. And a little bit concerning, frankly. But, okay, HNRC is a diversified energy company with oil and gas interests. They talk about, anyway, I won't bore you with it. FINRA shuts down Alpine 531. I'm not sure about that. How long after that would shorts need to be covered? I'm not sure about that answer either. The shorts are trying to get. Look, there's three different shorts. Originally, there was Kurt Kramer, the idiot. Then he enriched himself, but he destroyed and took advantage of the prime broker. The prime broker, Alpine, took over the accounts in all likelihood. Then Alpine got in trouble. So Alpine, and maybe Kurt Kramer with Alpine, enlisted the help of friends, short sellers that just day trade, that they guaranteed their positions to help them out. So there's three shorts probably going on here. One was Kurt Kramer. Two is Alpine. And three is friends of Alpine and Kurt Kramer. I think Kurt Kramer's out of the game. He's reportedly said that he made a killing in it, and he's just waiting for the lawsuits. It's a beautiful thing that Gary Gensler can allow a situation where a criminal can take tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars out of the market for nothing other than existing and violating securities laws and having lawyers cover up for him as if this is allowed. And then you've got Alpine in trouble. They're doing everything they can to buy time. And then you've got these little tiny day trading hyena pickpocket type shorts that want to get their trades out of Alpine before Alpine goes down. I think you're seeing that happen now. They're driving the stock down so they can illegally cross trades with Gary Gensler's approval and FINRA's approval and the OTC market's approval, and your broker-dealer goes along with it. They're just crossing trades illegally. That's what they're doing. It's a fact, Jack. But is it illegal? I mean, does a tree make a sound in the forest if no one's there to hear it fall? Is it illegal if no one's there to enforce securities laws? I don't know. Is it illegal to steal from Duane Reade if the cops let you do it? I don't know. I'm tired of fighting the ethical questions. We live in a country where anything goes and everything flows upward. If you were born a Republican woman that went to Wesleyan and married one of the most charismatic men in politics, you can complain that as a woman you had a hard life and everything flows to you, billions of dollars, and then you can corrupt all around you, and everyone joins in because they want to be part of the gravy train. And I'm just tired of, I can't find the ethical compass anymore. Can't find it. Well, Ken says, I think shorts will keep GTII down until their hands are prevented from reaching the keyboard. I think you're right about that. AC, I want to probably punch you? I don't want to punch you. I'm glad you're optimistic. Well, Mark Maddox, there is the SEC rule about dividends greater than 25%. But Mark Maddox, it's about the record date. If you read that rule, it's about changing the record date. And FINRA came out and approved the record date. So we'll find out if you're right. Logic, I have no news on Logic. They're going to go into the SPAC and then de-SPAC Digital Logic, and they're going to have the shell Logic that, and I'm not sure it should be called a shell because it'll immediately buy a private company that's better than the one they announced. That combination will be worth about $2.25. You'll get 2 for 1, be worth about $2.25. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's only worth $1.75, but I could be wrong, and it could be worth $2.50, $2.75 out of the gate. That'll be June, probably, not maybe July, June, July, rather than May, June. But you're right about that 25% rule, but I think you're past it now. I just bought another 20Ks I'm up to 85. That's great, Woody. I think GTII is the core question with GTII is the rule book going to be enforced? Kurt Kramer, Alpine, and the shorts have created over 300 million counterfeit shares. You have a different number? It's better. Whatever. 100 million, 50 million, whatever your number is. They have to be bought back in. Gary Gensler doesn't care about it. He wants to go after crypto because crypto is a threat to Goldman Sachs. Over-the-counter market is not a threat to Goldman Sachs. So Gary Gensler doesn't care about it. FINRA doesn't care about it because they don't understand it. And the over-the-counter markets, they're just there to help loot you so they can get their big monies. No one's looking out for you. And $50 million volume in MULN yesterday. Well, Barry, maybe it's getting ready to go to the moon. I don't know. I would be highly skeptical. With all the GTI shares they gave out, they know something. That's actually a good point. GoLogic is under 2. Well, here's what's going on with GoLogic. It was announced on last week. They are going to go into a publicly traded company. Then there's going, and then that's all they said. That's all they said. So you assume that they're going to do the similar thing that Logic did. And yeah, I think at $1.90 it's a great purchase price. but the shorts want to destroy this. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm tired of. I think basically we have to give up and just assume that the shorts are going to continue to create shares out of thin air because they exist and they're good people. They're just kids trying to make a living, and we got to let them do it. So we should all put our money in the next BlackRock ETF and then just go about our lives. And that's just the state of the markets. Bo Polney, I hope so. I hope he's correct. It's $6.95 for me plus the $4 I spent on lottery tickets. Crashing. I don't know what you're talking about. So it's oversold. GTI is oversold. Alex Denya, I would like to hear your honest assessment 1-8 law firm deal. Alex, I don't think the 1-800 law firm deal is going to happen. And I'm not sure they have any responsibility to tell you that. The extension that they announced by press release contemplated a May 15th due date to get it done. And I don't think it got done. And do they owe you any further explanation? I'm not sure. I don't think there's anything tactical about it. I just don't think it got done. That was the new audit due date, Mark, and if you read the news, the press release from, I don't know, September or November, it said, and I guess I could look them up for you. I'll look them up for you. I know it's hard for you guys to do. On March 31, 2023, Global Tech Industries extended closing date with Wildfire Media Corp., the 1-800 law firm brand, to May 15th, 2023. And remember, this whole concept, along with half a dozen others, is to get a reconciliation of real shares versus counterfeit shares that Gary Gensler just doesn't care about. All right, so it says Wildfire Media extended their original agreement to May 15th, 2023 in order to allow Wildfire more time to complete the 2-year audit undertaken by an auditing firm based in Sterling Heights, Michigan. The 2-year audit is a requirement in order to complete and close the acquisition of Wildfire and the 1-800 law firm brand by GTII. May 15th. That's come and gone. So it leads me to believe it's not happening. It couldn't be any more black and white. And they announced this on March 31, which was the deadline of the last extension. So that's why I don't believe it's going to happen. And the stock's 90 cents now. And it's going to go lower. All right, on February 21st, Global Tech Industries and Wildfire Media met with management to discuss audit report. They announced today that Wildfire Media Corp has informed the company that its 2-year audit should be completed within the next 2 weeks, and it intends to undertake the 2022 audit shortly thereafter. The companies have agreed to target a final close on or about April 1. So on March 31, they extended it. This time they didn't extend it. They did not extend it this time, giving me my reason that I don't believe it's going to happen. January 13. Global Tech Industry receives update on wildfire audit status and extends closing date to March 31. So when March 31 came and they hadn't closed it, they extended it. This time, when it came to May 15th, they didn't close it, they didn't extend it. Again, my reason for believing it's not going to happen. October 18th, Global Tech Industry Groups received notice of auditor engagement by Wildfire Media Corp. Wildfire has retained the services of an auditor to undertake the requisite 2-year audit, stated in the agreement that they signed on September 14th, 2022. I know this is hard to do, so I'll do it for you. On September 14th, Global Tech Industries announces share exchange agreement with Wildfire Media Corp. September 14th. Wildfire Media is a legal marketing company in the business of supporting law firms with client acquisition, research, data-driven marketing, media planning, and analysis, and client retention services. Under the terms of the agreement, GTII will, at the closing, issue to Wildlife shareholders 100 million restricted common shares in exchange for all outstanding shares of Wildfire Media. The closing of the transaction is subject to customary conditions specific to the transaction, including, without limitation, Wildfire Media providing GTII with audited financial statements and GTII concluding a due diligence review that is satisfactory in all respects to GTII. Wildfire shareholders have a post-closing earn-out opportunity for 100 million additional restricted GTII shares if Wildfire Media achieves 25 million in gross revenue. Currently, Wildfire Media has $85 million in receivables. So that's reading it backwards. That's all the news announcements that were made by GTII regarding the acquisition of 1-800 law firm. It is my opinion it's not going to happen. It's further, I don't think they owe you any announcement to that effect. It'd be nice if they made that announcement, but I don't think they owe you that announcement. On the other hand, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Check my E-Trade now. Ace says Alpine is going to get expelled from FINRA next week. I'm not sure that's true. I'm not sure it's wrong either. They've moved the case to D.C., and I don't know what other delaying and stalling tactics the attorneys can cause, but I have a feeling, I'm not a lawyer, I have a feeling that by changing the venue, it starts the clock again on the stalling tactics that Alpine has at its disposal. Well, Spiny, that's right. I don't think they owe it. I agree with you, Spiny. I don't think they owe an announcement. Be nice, but I don't think they owe one because, as I just showed you, on March 31st, the previous deal was going to expire. They announced an extension that day. This time, the deal was going to expire on May 15th. It expired as far as I can tell. So I don't think they have any obligation to make a further announcement. But I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer. Hey, Danielle. I got a hair chop. They cut it all off. It says Airbase Technology Partners, LLC, restricted. What? I mean, Ace might be right, but I just don't know for sure. So I'm prepared that they're... Look, I agree with Ace that FINRA wants to expel Alpine. 100% agree with him on that. I'm just not sure whether or not by changing the courthouse venue, if that gives more time to the criminals to stall. Need another YouTuber to pump the stock, Ken J. Thank you, Ken. I think the only pumper out there are the Kramers, but yeah, Ken. I have a funny way of pumping the stock. My suggestion to you, Ken, sell it. That's possible, PT Noel. Yes, Bonnie, I think don't give up hope, Ellie Belly. I say that respectfully. I have a dear niece that was her nickname. Exactly, Basamo. They drive it down and it doesn't stay down. Well, Nick Kunj, GTI is not squeezing right now. Look, Nick Kunj, the whole thing is we've been fighting it. The criminals have one strategy. Under the fact that the cops, Gary Gensler and FINRA, do nothing. They don't care if you're fleeced. They do not care if hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars are stripped from retail investors. They don't care. Half of you are deplorable anyway. Well, James W., I'm not, I don't think the time is wasted, but I think they're gonna drive the stock down further because it's under $1 and no one is buying yet. They're going to drive it lower. How do they drive it lower? They create shares out of thin air. Gary Gensler doesn't care about it. And so in economics, the first thing they teach you is supply and demand. If you go to the butcher, and the butcher has 1,000 recently killed chickens to sell, and there's only 100 customers, the price of the chickens is going to be really cheap because there's a lot of supply and low demand. If you go to the butcher and there's 100 customers and there's only 10 chickens for sale, the price of chicken is going to go up. And so when GTII, a company that is in excellent financial reporting status, a company that has a strategy that they've tried to implement that's no different from Goldman Sachs' strategy of incubating companies and guiding companies into flotation. Well, when GTII does this, and they sign up with a criminal named Kurt Kramer, who goes with a big smile on his face, pumps up the CEO and says, look, we'll fund your project. We like your business plan. As soon as it's signed, they start dumping the stock. With what? Fake shares that don't even exist. They increase the supply of chickens. So the supply of chickens goes from 10 chickens, balanced out with the 10 that customers want to buy, to 10,000 chickens that are all fake. And that suppresses the price of the stock. And then Kurt Kramer drives the trade into the ditch. The company issued warrants as a special dividend. The stock was working. In come some agents I believe were hired or cajoled by Kurt Kramer to help. And we get out of GTII in November. We go to COSM and other stocks because, hey, they're all going to squeeze too. And we dissipate our capital, and I think lost tens of millions. And we take that pressure off. And so what do they do? They keep selling it down. How do they do it? They've got a mimeograph machine. They copy the title over and 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 over again. And they're entitled to it because they're just two young guys outside of New York trying to make a living. So anyway, I fully expect that they will drive the stock lower. Look at all these market makers. GTSM, crap. Citadel, crap. CSTII, crap. Knight, crap. INTL, OTCN, ETRF, TRLN, Puma, Van Dam, TLSA, Vert, Wobber, They're all criminals. Why do we need it in the over-the-counter market? But Gary Gensler doesn't care. He wants to go after Kim Kardashian. And here's on the ask. Citadel selling 3,500 shares at 90 cents. Knight, 1,000 shares at 90 cents. They're going to drive it down. Those shares don't exist. It's not you selling it. It's just criminal swapping of shares. I'm just tired of talking about it. So Bink 911, what is this Airbase Tech Partners? What is Airbase Tech Partners? Laidlaw is a brokerage firm, or it used to be. Well, Irina, we could have sold it for, I know. Let me see what you're talking about for this. Richard Olden, 1-800 still on. The project's in development part of their website. If it was dead, wouldn't they have to update it? You make a good point, Richard. You make a good point. They'd have to update the website. I'm just telling you, I don't think it's going to happen. But you could be right, Richard. You make a lot of sense, Richard. Your point makes a lot of sense. Laidlaw, Laidlaw's a brokerage firm. It's not a law firm. What's the number? I don't see the phone number. Well, here it is, Laidlaw and Company. Maybe it's out of business. Laidlaw. It's a brokerage firm. It used to be. It might just be they bought that name out of bankruptcy and they're using it now. I don't know. But Laidlaw was a good, it was a good regional brokerage firm. I don't know. It's taking too long. Laidlaw Capital Markets, brand cognizant, whatever the heck that means. The team, let's see who's on the team. It's always important to have a team. James Ahern, managing partner. Luke Kotke, head of capital markets. Matthew Moscovas, global capital markets. And Patrick Gallagher, managing director. Anyway, that's Laidlaw. It's a sad day for GTII supporters. Why? I don't know if it's a sad day. It's another day. It's just another day. Jewelry affairs, this has been going on for 2.5 years. It's nothing new. And I don't know. You may not believe me, but I think there's 300 to 350 million shares that have been created out of thin air. But you have a chance to get out of the stock if you want. But I'm not telling you to do that. I think, Don, they do have to buy it in eventually. I do. But we shouldn't have to hire lawyers to enforce the rule book. We shouldn't have to create special dividends to enforce the rule book. Gary Gensler should enforce the rule book. Spiny, that's funny. Thank you, Jenny L. I don't know what this Airbase Technical Partners are. What are you bringing it up? I don't. Does it have something to do? That's it, Chris. Maybe we should just go illegal. Let's set up an LLC. Let's just start selling stocks short. Go destroy 20 companies. I know, Joe. Thank you, Joe. You make a good point. Joe. It does increase the naked short total, so that means when they do buy in, the stock will go much higher. You got your GTII dividend and it has no value. No, that's not right, Garcia. It has value because it represents a restricted share of common stock. You can look at the stock price, 90 cents. So it's worth 90 cents. Now, if you want to give it a discounted present value for 6 months of waiting, because you're going to probably have to wait at least 6 months before you can trade it, chop it in half. Say it's worth 45 cents. But the reason it shows 0 is because restricted shares do not trade in the market. That's why. So the computers can't come up with a value because it doesn't trade. That's why it shows 0. What will happen, Vince, with next week with FINRA and Alpine? Well, some people think Alpine is finished next week. I'm a little less certain because they changed the venue of the court case, and that, to me, that just means a clever lawyer will just buy more time. But we'll find out next week, won't we? Airbase Technology Partners has to mean something. I have absolutely no idea. Yeah, Tom, I don't know if I'm okay. Check it for yourself on your E-Trade. Check what? Let me see. Oh, here. E-Trade changed the name of the restricted shares to Airbase Tech Partners. I see. Well, okay, let's go to GTII. March 29th, GTII and Nevada Corporation announced today that it has been in further contact with FINRA regarding its corporate action request to issue a dividend to its shareholders in the form of 1 restricted share for every 10 shares held as of the record date of April 15, 2023. Since its board of directors initially approved and authorized management to submit the corporate action request on March 9, FINRA has asked for additional information. On May 9th, Global Tech Industries has successfully distributed its stock dividend. GTII announced that it has successfully distributed its 1-for-10 stock dividend to shareholders. Issuances were made directly into the accounts of those shareholders who have been holding their shares at Liberty Stock Transfer. The remainder of the issuances for shareholders who hold their shares with brokers or brokerage firms were distributed by Liberty directly into the DTCC, which then transferred the shares to individual brokerage firms that hold GTII stock. Those shareholders should contact their brokers directly to receive the stock dividends in their account. GTII distributed 1 share of AirTech Technologies per 10 shares of GTI Industries Corp. No, I made that up. The last part I made up. This is 1 share of restricted common stock for every 10 shares of common stock you have in GTII. It's distributed as 1 common share of GTII shares. So I have no idea what the rest of it is. Wow. Davey, that's huge. TD Ameritrade called on Monday asking if I would be willing to loan out my AMC and GTII shares. That's huge. That means they're feeling pressure. I like Bo. Hey, Skinny Whale. Let me see what Skinny Whale's saying. The voice of reason from Miami. We need the mafia on our side. Well, Skinny, the thing that they're afraid of is price, because if the stock price goes up, the buy-ins will come, and it doesn't matter what their games, and no one will rescue them. So as long as we stay together, I think we're going to be okay. But I think even if people sell, it's not going to change the ultimate outcome, because I just don't think we own enough shares. We can change it in the short run, but I don't think we own enough shares to satisfy the crisis that's going to incur when the buy-in happens. Marco Draven probably already answered should we keep buying shares of GTII even though we know there are no more physical shares? My gosh. The markets are so destroyed. They're just so destroyed. Marco, when you buy, the brokerage firm is committing to you. When you put up cash at settlement, the brokerage firm is committing to you that they're buying real shares on your behalf from another source. Occasionally, they get a failure to deliver, and they're supposed to track that down and make sure real shares are in your account. So you have no idea that you're not getting real shares. The problem is that the system has created a methodology by which they only allow electronic shares in your accounts. Merrill Lynch and the rest of the brokerage firms do not allow their clients to buy shares under $5. Institutions don't buy shares under $5, $7, or $10, whatever. There's no research. In fact, if you bring those shares into these big brokerage houses, they'll tell you to sell them. Gary Gensler does not enforce security laws as it applies to the over-the-counter markets. If and when he does, he slaps them on the wrist, settles, says, hey, Kurt Kramer, you didn't do anything wrong. Go ahead and rape and pillage some more. And that's just the way it is. But no, I think when you buy shares of GTII, you're entitled to expect that you're buying real physical shares of GTII. I think now that GTII is trading at 85 cents or whatever it is, You're averaged down, and you're going to see higher prices in the future when a buy-in occurs. But that's just my opinion. Let me see where it's trading. I'm sorry, I'm giving you a quote. I don't know what it is doing. Let's see. Let me, I can't get a, there we go. Just got to get a quote for you. Yeah, GTII last trade 89 cents. So the bid right now is 90 cents. The ask is 90 cents. Volume is 833,000. It's all fraudulent. It's all fake. I'm tired of pointing out to you that no one is there enforcing the rules. Hey, Echo. Lucky's asleep. Hey, Steve Rosenberg, 90 to 91 cents. Well, that's right, AC. Dozer is tweeting the fact that we are the first ticker ever to be named by DTCC, and that's exactly right. FINRA, no one is selling. You're right, AC. FINRA intends to expel Alpine, but the question I tried to answer is it next week? And I hope so, but I don't have any confidence that it'll happen next week. Wow, you have a lot of stock. That's great. China is done. Asking for a friend. Have I ever seen a stock with hundreds of millions of naked shares? Yeah, but I would say there was AMC, GME, and you saw the outcome there. Wow, another 5,000. That's great. Average down is great. Chris, I don't understand. There's all those market makers you just showed us. Why is Alpine such a big deal? If Alpine is gone, those are all the others to fill their shoes. No, Alpine is a prime broker. When Kurt Kramer sells stock that doesn't exist, the money comes into his prime broker. And now Kurt Kramer has hundreds, dozens of LLCs, and then he has a lot of compatriots with LLCs. But at least the initial LLC is housed at a prime brokerage, Alpine Securities, a criminal organization run by John Hurry, and then Scottsdale Capital run by his wife. They're all in cahoots together, in my judgment. Everything on this video is in my judgment. The market makers simply facilitate the trades, but they're also criminal. But the market makers do not house the trades. They make a market. So when Kurt Kramer sells the stock and you buy it, Kurt Kramer's sale sits at Alpine. Let's just pretend he has one account. If he sells 100 million shares to all of you at 75 cents, he has $75 million sitting at Alpine. He cannot take the money out of Alpine unless he has a closing transaction. Hence, he sets up dozens of LLCs, and dozens of companies come in, and they swap trades and break the law in the open when Gary Gensler doesn't care. And so they close out. Let's just say it's one account, $75 million is sitting there. He can't have access to that $75 million until he closes out the $100 million, either as a long sale marked failure to deliver, or that they've located stock, but it fails to deliver, Alpine is not going to release the $75 million to Kurt Kramer until Kurt Kramer delivers the stock. Or he marked it short. They're not going to release the $75 million until he closes the transaction. Let's just say it's one account at the prime broker Alpine. When they set up, so Kurt Kramer comes in from Switzerland with another account, and he buys through that account 100 million shares at Alpine in the first LLC. That's a closing transaction. In the second LLC, that's now a brand new short position, compounding the issue. But in the first case, that trade's closed. He gets to wire that $75 million wherever he wants. Not paying taxes maybe, but certainly most likely transferring it offshore. Splitting it with his investors or whoever's sponsoring him. The rest of it, he gets to go out on the town. Now the second LLC is now short, and they can't take their money out until they cross those shares. And so what's happening is that what you're seeing is crossing of these shares from multiple LLCs so they can take their money out that they've stolen from the over-the-counter market system. And Gary Gensler doesn't care. AC, no one can name dates. GTII is made in Mexico. I think it's Amy. Will, I know you and Ham are old school, but reaching out and getting on podcasts will have a greater reach and effect than door knocking and sitting down and having minions. Yeah, maybe Amy. I think it says Amy. That's if it doesn't, I apologize. Yeah, I agree. But the problem is we may be so old school that we believe that the government enforces rules, that journalists are honest, that rules are there to protect investors, and it may be everything's passed us by, and the over-the-counter markets are a big back alley that Gary Gensler just tells his buddies, go steal money. Financial revolution, I talked about it yesterday, but the meetings went really well. I had a stack of cards there inside, 2.5 inches thick. I actually found more cards. It's 3 inches thick. We went and I put it, maybe I have it here. I think it's inside as well. But this guy that came down from Boston, a pilot, tremendous guy, and Ham, the three of us, we went to probably 100 offices, and every single office in the house, there's 3 house office buildings, Longworth, Rayburn, and Cannon. According to my phone, I walked 8 miles yesterday on the marble halls of the house office buildings. That means Ham did it. That means this other gentleman, I'm just not saying his name because I'm not sure he wants me to, did it as well. And we visited every single office of the House Financial Services Committee, and we gave a packet of information. Inside of it were several sheets, and it describes the issue, examples, and the problem. The number one thing that I think happened, obviously, is awareness. But what I mean about awareness is getting it across that short selling is more than just short selling. That naked short selling is not a strategy, a legal strategy. It is counterfeiting of shares. And I saw on Twitter that these guys at MMTLP are sending packets to everybody. It's amazing. So I think things went really well today. Yesterday. I think buying more shares of GTII is the right response. Wow, TD, your average is down to 117. That's amazing. Laidlaw Limited, portfolio items, Airbase. Laidlaw, what GTII distributed were shares of GTII. And if there's a mistake in your E-Trade account, and maybe in mine, it's just a glitch. It is... GTII distributed one restricted share of common stock for every 10 common shares you have. They sent it to the DTCC. To the extent that at Fidelity or E-Trade or at others, TD Ameritrade, that when someone looks below the system, the DTCC has 1 million shares of the restricted stock to distribute at E-Trade. But when E-Trade looks in their accounts, they see that they have 30 million they're supposed to have, or I'm making it up. Maybe it should use a lower number, 5 million. Well, it means that DTCC received legitimate, real restricted shares for 1 million, but in their books, in their clients' books, there should be 5 million restricted shares. That's an imbalance between fake shares and real shares. This is the issue of settlement. When you put up cash, you are entitled to receive real shares at settlement. Simple as that. It's the law. In fact, what did you put your money up for? To receive a script? I'll gladly give you money on Tuesday for a hamburger today. It's the law. But Gary Gensler doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's got new worlds to conquer. Goldman Sachs makes 75% of its prime brokerage income from this illegal activity, according to Pat Byrne. They don't care. They just don't care. So anyway, it's exactly what GTII is trying to call out. It's not a new discovery to find out that they're doing funny things in the back office. Gary Gensler should be enforcing Reg Show. He should be enforcing settlement. And I don't personally understand why the rules that apply for the big board and all those institutional trading back and forth that everybody makes money on high-speed frequency trading, and then you need a F3 button so you can hide the fact that you don't really own the shares, and you can sell down regional shares, and you can make money for JP Morgan and for Goldman Sachs. Why do we need all that in the over-the-counter market? Institutions don't even trade the over-the-counter market below a certain market cap. Why do we need all that stuff? Because it allows the criminals to make money, and it allows Goldman Sachs's clients to trade with Goldman Sachs and other prime brokers to make Goldman Sachs money. And who did Gary Gensler work for other than the Hillary Clinton campaign? Goldman Sachs. So there is no enforcement of the securities laws. There's no real enforcement. There are the slaps on the wrist that do nothing. Nobody goes to jail. Obama, who everyone touted as the next FDR, he didn't put any bankers in jail. He didn't even put any bankers on trial. And the first thing Obama did when he left office, he signed a contract for $60 million. Whose side of the fence does that put Obama on? Yours or the bankers? They don't care. So, Lion, the whole purpose for distributing the restricted shares is to catch out the system. If it's true, there's 350 million counterfeit shares of GTII, which I believe is true. But maybe it's a lower number. But let's just go with 300. That means 30 million shares of restricted common have to be delivered into accounts that don't exist. So by definition, the back offices are going to be doing all sorts of prevaricating to hide the fact that those 30 million shares of restricted stock do not exist. GTII, West Christian, and all the people working on your behalf are trying to show out to Congress, to Wall Street, to journalists, to politicians, to people that might care. Tell me who we should go to. That the system is all fraudulent. There's one person that could change it, Gary Gensler. He's not going to do it. See, he's just not going to do it. So GTI tries to show it out, to catch it out. And the only way to catch out these criminals is price. If the stock goes up and the buy-ins come, they lose money. It's the only way. Then it'll be on the front page, and they'll blame it on Bernie Bros. They won't blame it on the criminals who caused the problem. The stock is now 90 cents to 91 cents, 6,540 by 5,638. Who sells 8 shares of a 90-cent stock? They're communicating with each other. They're doing this out in the open. They are showing their desperation. They're breaking the law. And just because Gary Gensler doesn't enforce the rules doesn't mean it's not against the law. And maybe this guy, Gubir Grewal, looks like an honest guy. I'm sure he's not invited to the Hamptons to hang out with Hillary Clinton like Gary Gensler is. And I'm sure that Gubir Grewal doesn't have his head out of whack when he gets to sit around people like Jeffrey Epstein and the rest of these high flyers. Maybe he's the guy that will be honest enough to look at this and say, you know what, we got a problem. I think the simplest answer would be to tell over-the-counter markets that the traders, the so-called market makers, they're not real market makers. They're just abusers of the reg show exemption. Just say that from now on, if there's no institutional buying in a stock, there can be no institutional strategies to short sell it. Simple as that. No exemptions to reg show. No market maker exemptions. If it's not an institutionally approved stock for trading, They can't destroy it. Why? Because in the big names, like Tesla, for example, the criminals can short stock that doesn't exist. They do it with Goldman Sachs stock. They can short stock that doesn't exist. But what's on the other side? On the other side are the Fidelity funds, the BlackRock funds, the Millennium funds that go in and buy these shares. Why? Because there's research analysts. There's pools of money that want to own the stock. So when these criminals create stock out of thin air, they've actually got real demand on the other side coming from your retirement accounts. And there's, even though it's illegal, there is a balancing. There is power fighting the criminality. But in the over-the-counter markets where institutions don't buy, where there is no research, where the big thundering herd of 20,000 Merrill Lynch brokers cannot recommend the stock to their clients, the brokers at Goldman Sachs, the brokers at Wells Fargo, the brokers at I'm forgetting the other firm right now, they cannot tell their clients to buy GTII. So when criminals come in with that provide no benefits to society, none, they might just be laundering money coming out of the Ukraine, who knows? But when Kurt Kramer sells the stock and destroys your jobs, your retirement plans, your capital, he says, hey, it belongs to me. We're the Kramers. Nobody FUX with us. And his kid gets on Twitter and says, if you want to invest in a 401k, this is how you do it. These guys are waste products of humankind. They're just thieves. And Gary Gensler aids and abets them. The simplest answer that would solve everything in a minute: the over-the-counter markets stocks on the over-the-counter markets can no longer be traded as if they have institutional support. No reg show exemption, no market maker exemption, delivery on the barrelhead, and if you need a day or 2 days, you have to put your reason in writing, and maybe you get it, but if you don't come in, there's going to be a buy-in. Get rid of the sophisticated Wall Street baloney trading tactics they use up in with the big boys. Down with the over-the-counter. No more. And take the over-the-counter regulation away from the SEC. Gary Gensler doesn't want to enforce it. FINRA doesn't want to enforce it. Give it to somebody else. Give it to the FDIC. Create a brand new government alphabet soup office. Have it run by an honest woman and fund it by taxing all of these criminals for the monies that they took out without paying taxes. No 1099, they didn't pay taxes. And you know the IRS can go get that. The IRS wants to hire 89,000 new people under Biden to go after your $600 Venmo payment. Go after Kurt Kramer's tens of millions of dollars that he didn't pay taxes on. Or Lynn Partners, or Yorkshire Partners, or all the clients of Benchmark. Go after them and get hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars back into the United States Treasury. And you can pay for your separate over-the-counter regulatory body that's not beholden to Goldman Sachs, that's not beholden to Merrill Lynch, that's not beholden to JP Morgan, that's not beholden to Wells Fargo. Why? It's the over-the-counter market. And maybe you'll start to see small over-the-counter investment banks opening up, doing honest business, because it's not that hard to do this business. It's not hard to collect your money on time. Anytime you buy a stock, If you say, I want to buy 10,000 shares of GTII, immediately says there's not enough money in your account. So you got to deliver money. How hard would it be on the other side? Sell 10,000 shares of GTI stock. Well, we don't show 10,000 shares of freely tradable GTI stock in your account, so you can't sell it. It wouldn't be hard. Take the over-the-counter markets away from Gary Gensler. Take them away. Set up a separate government institution that could be paid for by the criminals. It could be paid for by the Ken Griffins of the world. It doesn't have to be paid for. But do not make it self-regulating. Do not make it self-regulating. And it will have a simple mandate. Enforce settlement. And you'll see so many companies get funded. You'll see so many jobs created. And you'll see honest brokerage firms. And all of a sudden, all this baloney we're dealing with will go away. Take the over-the-counter markets away from Gary Gensler. All right, so GTII is 91 cents, 90 by 91 cents. It's not 1 million shares yet, but I guess it will be. Somebody's selling 333,000 shares. Who sells 333,000 shares of a stock at 91 cents? Who does that? Day in and day out, they have these odd numbers. Jeremy Frommer will tell you, oh, that's just an algorithm trying to confuse you that that's a retail order. Baloney. That's communication. Knight is representing an LLC who is communicating with one of the bidders. I don't know. Is it communicating with Knight on the bid? Is it communicating with CSTI? Is the ask saying, we're selling this, we want to cross 100,000 shares, and is this the code word for it? It's all fraud. It's all stealing money from you. It's making you feel bad about yourselves. It's making people say, why would you ever invest? It is because Gary Gensler is a criminal. And my definition of criminal is anyone that has the authority to enforce the rules, and anyone as intelligent as Gary Gensler, anyone that worked at Goldman Sachs knows that this criminality is going on. And by not enforcing it, he's aiding and abetting it. It makes himself, the Honorable Gary Gensler, a criminal, in my judgment. And then you have to feel badly and you have to explain to your husband, why am I investing in this stock? It's because Gary Gensler is a criminal. All of it's in my judgment. When you swear an oath to enforce the rules of this country and you don't do it, you're violating your oath. Does that make you criminal? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. It makes you negligent. When it's called to your attention over and over and over and over and over again that little seedy, dishonest, disreputable, dumb criminals like Kurt Kramer and Seth Kramer are destroying dozens of companies by selling stock that doesn't exist and you do nothing about it, it makes you as guilty as Kurt Kramer. And that's Gary Gensler. There's one guy on Congress we went around that I recognized. He was avoiding me. He doesn't know me from anybody. But you know what he was avoiding? I don't think he wants to face the issue. You guys haven't done anything wrong. You guys are on the side of the good. Gary Gensler has decided to align himself with thievery. Thievery. It's 90 to 91 cents, and when GTII tries to do an NFT, buy a Picasso, buy another Picasso, do the metaverse, do the warrant as a special dividend, do the acquisition of 1-800 law firm, do the acquisition of the Bronx Eye Care, do the acquisition of the gold company out of Dubai, try to arrange for an acquisition of the Trento mines, hire West Christian, attempt to list on Upstream, but my understanding is there's a block, somebody's blocking that. But then do dividends up on Upstream. All of this they do because Gary Gensler won't enforce the rules. Why should it be on the... And when the stock goes up, FINRA questions GTII. Why'd your stock go up? Are you pumping it? When Kurt Kramer signs a toxic convertible note that violates usury laws and makes him an unregistered security dealer, hey, he's just two brothers trying to make a living outside of New York. Don't pick on him. He's got a family to raise. You don't have families? You don't have families? Gary Gensler's proud father of 3 daughters. He has a family. You don't have families? You don't? He does, though, but you don't. $909,000, 90 cents by 91 cents. Oh, look, Knight sold. Look at that. It was 333. So they were able to get off about 110 shares or 20 shares. Isn't that amazing? How believable is that? This is all fraud. And your government allows it. Your government allows it. So somebody said that several of you have bought more shares. In my opinion, the proper reaction to this when the stock is down is to buy more shares. But I can't give specific advice to any one of you individually. But the proper reaction is to buy. The company is fighting for you. They're not going to cut a deal with the shorts the way the CEO of COSM did. You know that there's an order out of Switzerland for 19 million shares short. They want to buy back. Company's not going to do it. So what they're trying to do here is get you upset, get everybody selling, and it's not happening. They're just digging their hole deeper. And today, out of a million shares traded, I don't know. How many do you figure is fake? I would guess 800,000. But to the extent that they were able to sell any real shares, or any real trades, I should call it, real trades, but they're selling counterfeit shares, maybe they brought in $9,000 today, $10,000, and then they're going to try to close that out over the next few days, and they're going to steal that money from you. And Gary Gensler doesn't care because he's a criminal too. He's shameless. He's shameless. And he did it to you in MMTLP and all these stocks that you bring up, MULN, MMAT. COSM is rife with that. That was a pump and dump. But that CEO took advantage of the situation. But Gary Gensler allowed it. CLNV. I'm trying to remember some of the other names off my head. And it's not going to change until you stop voting based on CNN and MSNBC. You've got to start voting for accountability. You've got to start voting. Here in D.C., I'd vote for any mayor that got rid of the rats. You got to start voting nationally for anybody that'll get rid of the rats in the financial markets, in the election system, the endless wars. All right, it looks like it's going to close above 90 cents. And this is the worst they can do to it. They've driven it down by selling counterfeit shares, and they keep driving it down, and this is the only weapon they have. But you know what? GTII is a management team that's on your side, and they're not going to quit until they solve this problem. The SEC is not going to help. Most of the people in Congress aren't going to help. The current president, is not going to help. Journalism is not going to help. The only thing that's going to make this go is when the price of this stock is $5, and all of a sudden they have 400 million shares outstanding at $5, and they're down that money, and then their armpits sweat, and they go to their buddy, "Hey, Vinny, can you lend me some?" "No, we can't." "Hey, Leo, can you help me?" "No, we can't." "Hey, Stevie." "No, I can't help you." And you got what size of problem? I tell you what, we're going to go buy 10 million, 100 million shares, and we're going to put you out of business. That's what's going to happen. But it's not happening now. And if you're waiting for Alpine to go down next week, I hope so. But my guess is the legal system will give them more time. But nobody is doing business. Nobody real is doing business with Alpine. Nobody real is doing business with Alpine. Alpine is going down. And the IRS, the Department of Justice, the SEC, FINRA are all allowing that money to go offshore. And they're telling you they can't track it. Of course they can track it. They can track $600 you spend on Venmo. You don't think they can track the millions of dollars the criminals are taking? What is so special about Kurt Kramer? What is so special about him? Why is he protected? He's white. He's a criminal. He has no talent. Yet he's being protected. Why? And how much longer will he be protected? How much longer will he be protected? I don't think much longer. All right, so it looks like it's going to close at 91 cents. I'm looking at a delayed quote. Ham just called me. Well, this is good from Jeremy. This is a good thing that Jeremy just wrote. I have no words to describe how upset I am for vocal shareholders, of whom I am the largest and have never sold. I have invested my life into the company. I will never quit fighting to survive, recover, and be stronger. That's very good. So Ham put up that next week he's coming to D.C. We're going to try to go to the Senate Finance Committee. And he also wants to go put a truck up at the SEC and in front of the Bobby Kennedy building. Okay, so this is it. To defend what some of you guys are saying, this is from It's Me Albie. 6 days until the final gavel comes crashing down on Alpine. I trust him. I trust Ace too. An expedited case sought by FINRA for continuing to repeat the violation. From the looks of it, they still are, or someone else assumed the role. Either way, no way these trucks are gifted another extension. That's where I kind of... Here's Big JR. I really trust Big JR too. You see his tweet? Alpine Case News. The judge did not give Alpine the injunction they wanted to stop FINRA. Good. She didn't seem to agree with Alpine's arguments. The case was transferred to D.C. District Court. That's where I'm concerned. When you get in front of a new judge, a clever lawyer will say, hey, judge, we need some more time. FINRA's date for hearing to expel is May 31. I think they'll... Well, we'll find out. Call me skeptical. They might get more time. All right, let me see what else it says. Gerald Salenti, the greatest recession has begun. Prepare for the worst. Gerald Salenti, prepare for the worst. Special Counsel Durham found at least 371 Russian Yotaphone lookups involving IP addresses assigned to the executive office. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's good or bad. All right, here's Paul T. I believe this brilliant plan by Gifsong Glass would force FINRA fraud to reconcile all the short positions. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. That doesn't look to me, on first glance, it doesn't look like it'll work. But I'll study it later. Gerald Salente, NATO continues to provoke Russia. What the heck are we doing here? Hasn't Secretary of Defense's former company, Raytheon, made enough money here? The USS Gerald Ford is now in Norway. The Soviets can sink that ship. That's good. So Ham just wrote there's another 180 packages ready for DC. And so we're going to go distribute those next week. Lordy, lordy, lordy. Here's Waxy. Okay, this is from Trader Zero. By the way, Ham Short Killer, I'm not defending any of the funds here. I could give a truck about them. They are all greedy trucks and use every possible loophole to skirt the law. My issue isn't with them. My issue is with people like you that pump a ticker. Well, I don't agree with that definition here. Get bagged on a shit trade tied to a shit company like GTII, then flip the script when you truck up and miss the top, holding for more. To cover your butt, you blame naked shorting. Of course it's naked shorting, Trader Zero. And manipulation, when it really, in reality, GTII isn't worth 5 cents. Well, was AMC worth the 75 cents? Anyway, meanwhile, all of these brainwashed followers believe every word and stay in. Nobody in their right mind thinks a company with no revenue for 7 years, sketchy business dealings, and executives taking in millions has a sustainable share price. Well, Kurt Kramer did. Kurt Kramer loved their business plan when he signed up. Hillary Clinton. What will happen if Trump wins? Hillary, look, if Trump wins, I don't believe that will happen. Let me just quickly say this. If, according to any scenario, this happens, it will be the end of democracy in the United States. So to make sure it doesn't happen, we're going to steal the election. This will be the end for Ukraine, and he will just take us out of NATO if he wins again. Just like he got us out of the Iran deal, out of the Paris Accords, he will take us out of NATO. That's Hillary. Okay, here's Big JR on GTII. In my opinion, FINRA has no orders telling them they can't continue with the May 31st expulsion. So we'll see. That's next week. We'll find out. So the exact ruling, the order was, this case shall be transferred to the United States District Court for the District of Columbia for all further proceedings. The clerk is directed to transfer this matter to the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. The clerk is further directed to close the case and terminate any pending motions. Signed by Judge Mary S. Scriven on 5/24. The real short, this is from Ham, the real short covered 150,000. Great sign, whoever this short is. They are part of the crime family for sure. They know when to sell and now are covering. Tells me the end is near. And they know it. Okay, RRR1, which might be Skinny Whale, I don't know. GTII, there it is. We have been saying in space calls, jurisdiction matter denied. case going to D.C. where it belongs. This D.C. court takes time, but, quote, FINRA hearing panel, unquote, is going to be convened to once again expel Alpine from FINRA. No coming back from it this time. I hope she's right. I'm just concerned that because it's a new court, the lawyers on their side will argue that their rights have been wronged, and why do we give them so many rights? I saw this guy in Congress yesterday. I saw that guy. Shifty Shift, I saw him. He was no further than me than twice, well, not even that far. Not as close as those flowers, but not much further than those flowers. Okay, so Kristen Shaughnessy wrote, can't wait to see how this plays out. What jury will empathize with a defendant who sees nothing wrong with stealing from retail investors and killing companies that are trying to do good things in the world? Good for Kristen. Richard K. wrote, what about the brokers, MMTLP? How did they balance their books with the IRS this last tax season with millions of unsettled counterfeit shares from GTII MMTLP on the book? 65,000 investors want to know. Bravo. Pedro Philly, he's another guy that's really smart. On COSM, he says, someone sure is glad to get out of 5 shares this AM. 5. MM sending signals. See, that's what they do. Recall back on 120 and 124, the stock was up big. Those days started relatively boring days. He's saying don't sleep on COSM, so maybe it's going to recover. Here's one I wrote, but no one liked it. All right, so I guess it was bad. Here's Ham 5 hours ago. GTII, you know it's the crook selling 1,253 shares at 92 cents. That's about $1,000 worth of stock to change the entire pricing of the market. David KD, Alpine is toast. Get ready for the mass exodus of cockroaches scattering. Get your boots ready. Bravo, that's good. Aw, here's a good one. Here's a good one. You gotta love this one. You gotta love this one. This dog is getting ready to watch a movie. I don't know why it's not moving. Isn't that a cute dog? All right, here it goes. Here it goes. This poor dog. He's all bored watching a movie. I don't know. It's not moving. It was just moving. There it goes. Poor dog. So tired. So tired. Oh, boring movie. Boring video. I'm tired of hearing about GTII. I'm tired of hearing about GTII. Here's Avid Trader. 5 hours ago, Avid Trader, we will not be silenced. The system is designed to protect the criminals. That's a good one. I'm going to say I like that one. Here's all the packages being sent by MMTLP. Isn't that amazing? That's by Hollywood Henry. It's amazing. I don't know why, but this is Sasha Obama. I don't know why that's important. All right, I'm going to go 10 more minutes and get off. Somebody asked me if I am feeling all right. Maybe I'm not, but I'm just sick of this stuff. What's Ham's tweet? Let's see Ham's tweet. Let's see what the hamster says. Inquiring minds want to know what the hamster said. But I can't find out, unfortunately. There. Okay, let's see what he said. 12 minutes ago, Ham said, GTII, a shareholder is transferring his GTII from TD to E-Trade. They sent him a message. Liquidate GTII. We don't want it. Why? They are short and they want longs to bail. Liquidate GTII. They don't want it. Very interesting. Elon Musk. You can't sell houses you don't own. You can't sell cars you don't own. But you can sell stock you don't own? I don't know what he means by shorting is a scam only for vestigial reasons. To me, that word doesn't mean what he's using it for, but I don't know. He's the genius. I'm not. Wednesday, May 31st, working on DC trip. Anyone down there want to have fun? Handing out information to expose the fraud. I will have packages ready. I took that picture. I was there when it happened. I like this Geneva rock dector. While they're destroying Icon stock. All right, let's look at Dozier. Dozier is great too. GTII, summary of events. We are the first ticker, maybe ever, to be named by the DTCC for heavily being shorted by a prime broker. FINRA is about to expel our said prime. No one is selling. Real short number dropped significantly. Monster washing the past couple of weeks. That's well stated by Dozier. Well, let's see what else he said. He said more. FBI investigating fraud from a DK trade out of the West. That's don't know the trade. Alpine's offices are empty. 19 million rumored buy order. I don't know what BOD he means. An ex-wife of CEO being called to board of directors and the ex-wife of CEO being called to sell shares. Wes's lawsuit is being heard by the same job that threw Madoff in prison and is deemed pro-retail investor by the same judge, I think he means. Hurry, that's the guy that runs Alpine, is telling people he is done and is walking away and will use resources to hire lawyers to keep him out of jail. I am going to wait this out and feel confident I'm on the right side of the trade. Go Dozer. Nothing will happen. You're just repeating the usual talking points, but the stock gets crushed every day. It doesn't look good. Dozer, what more is there to say? That is until something changes. Unlike bashers who can twist and turn everything without any definitive proof. Good for Dozier. Good for Dozier. All right, so 5 minutes, I'm going to hang up. And I'm sorry I haven't been answering questions, but I'm really not sure what value I've been adding to anybody. Because here we go. Red Hook Texan. Red Hook Texan. They don't care about proof because nothing is being enforced. This is why they continue to do this with no fear. Ham, I agree. But we did it before and we will do it again. 60 cents to $9. Now it's 10 times bigger. And he's right about that. Yeah, it's spinning, so I can't get any more. I know, Barbara. I'm going to go walk him right now. I'm going to go walk him right now, and I'm not going to play any music because they block my videos. So all I can say is, what's love got to do with it? It's just second-hand emotions. All right, let me see where it closed. It closed at 91 cents. And the volume was 934,774. And for those of you who care, Djokovic got a tougher draw than Alcaraz in the French Open. The Cardinals beat the Reds today 2-1. And the Nationals are beating the Padres. And the Marlins are beating the Rockies. So, one more minute. I'm just going to see if there's any news on Novak Djokovic that's interesting. He's in the same half as Carlos Alcaraz, that's true. They're on a collision course for the semifinals. So, all right, I'm disappointed that Elon is supporting DeSantis because I don't much like DeSantis. But hey, it's a free country. He can support who he wants. It used to be a free country. I don't know if it is anymore. So anyway, I'm going to sign off. It's 4:30. I'm going to go walk my dog. And I thank everybody for listening. I'm not sure I'm going to do many more of these videos because I don't know the point anymore. I really don't know the point. Maybe what I'll do is some videos instead of lives. Maybe that's what I'll do. But we'll figure it out. I appreciate everybody listening. I wish everyone peace, love, and happiness. And we'll catch you down the road.